joining us here on the Phoenix Sports Podcast, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Chierstin. She's Makayla. Once again, happy Friday. Today just feels like a Friday, and I regret the Coyote. I just watched the Coyotes crew hop on with beers, and I regret not grabbing one.
Oh, look at that. You went to a graphic as soon as I came.
Nobody wanted to see Craig's face.
You're still on there, Craig. You're still on there.
Oh, no, you're still live. See,
what's going on
down there?
Well, I just came with a present for Mac.
I was just slandered on the Coyote show, everybody. Absolutely slandered by some false narratives. Go ahead, Craig.
We have some pretty good evidence, Mac, that the Nutter Butters were on your
If you missed the Coyote show, I was accused of stealing Craig's Nutter Butters, and to that I say that is blasphemy. Max Simpson was the one that stole the Nutter Butters. I was just compliant.
Somebody else.
I was just compliant in this entire thing, and Max asked me if we wanted to share the Nutter Butters, and I said yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie.
It's Max's fault.
Max was there for the entire conversation and never stepped in and said that it was actually him.
Oh no! Okay, this has gone off the rails.
Investigation. We'll have our findings on Monday. That's all.
So that is the culprit.
So
that is the man who stole the Nutter Butters.
If anyone knows Max's track record of food allegations from earlier this week, burritos. Fact. Makayla Perkins hoarded a
ridiculous.
green chili burrito from earlier this week, put her name on it, and shoved it in the crevice of our fridge.
You're
next
just mad,
to some
Max,
green
because you got
salsa.
caught stealing the Nutter Butters, and I'm standing up for myself.
She is a burrito hoarder. My name will be cleared. My name will be cleared because this is not my character. That is absolutely her character.
How much green salsa did Makayla take?
I resent all of this.
One burrito.
What we saw in the fridge, at least 4 green salsas, and that's not even including what she brought
It's not a crime to have salsa.
And I quote, I took 10 green salsa packets home. 10.
It's not a crime to like salsa. Sorry that I like my burrito with salsa. It is a crime when
other people need to eat salsa. What are we doing here?
No, it's not.
Oh
my gosh,
are you giving her Nutter Butters now?
Am I allowed to have these now?
Wow.
Okay,
Well,
I'm allowed to have the Nutter
Petey
Butters,
gave me
apparently.
this, what a great guy. All I said was I needed a beer, and all of a sudden Petey comes down with a golden lager from Four Peaks for me. So thank you, Petey.
Okay.
What's
well,
more Friday than that?
If you missed out on the Nutter Butter debacle, go watch the PHNX Coyotes show. They were live just a few moments ago. You can catch it on our YouTube channel, and you can see for yourself.
And Shane Doan on that show.
Yeah, it was an incredible show. They also slandered my name, and I resent that. It was Max who stole the Nutter Butters, and I stand by that. The day I die.
You didn't stand up and tell him it was wrong, and you still ate the Nutter Butter, so it's not like you're innocent here.
I ate 1 Nutter Butter out of the 4. Max had 2. That makes it more guilty. Anyways, okay.
This is my first time drinking the Golden Lager.
Really good, right?
I'm usually a peach ale or a hazy IPA from Four Peaks kind of gal. This is really good.
Yeah, delicious.
Golden Lager is my favorite one.
Yeah.
Golden Lager slaps. Everything from Four Peaks slaps. I'm still a hazy IPA girl to the day I die. But I love Four Peaks beer. And if you love Four Peaks beer, we do. We are taking over the ASU hockey home opener on October 14th. The tickets are already sold out, so unfortunately, if you missed out on that, you will not be able to join us. But if you become a PHNX member, you will get first dibs on our next takeover. This was a PHNX members only event, so there's just more reason for you to sign up to be a member. But we're going to be meeting at Four Peaks. We're going to be eating in taco bar, all you can eat tacos, where hopefully I will be accused of hoarding anything because it's all you can eat taco bar. And so, yeah, it's going to be really fun.
You can't take the last of anything, though, okay?
Apparently not. Everyone is so sensitive in this office about food. Oh, my gosh. I work with a bunch of babies.
You are just selfish.
A bunch of babies.
This show is... I don't even know what is about to happen in this show because we are so off the rails here. Shots fired. Should we just get into temperature check?
Yeah, I think we should at this point. Just remember, though, if you're going to drink a Four Peaks beer, you must be 21 years older and enjoy responsibly. Okay, now let's do it.
All right, let's get into a temperature check of sports here in the Valley, starting with the Arizona Cardinals, who finally beat that Panther curse, regardless of what fashion it was in. They got a win on Sunday, so 2-2 on the season. A lot of storylines either out of that game throughout this week, heading into their game on Sunday against the Eagles, another home game, so they're back at home. So little time to celebrate that win. Thank goodness they got it, because I think a lot of people heading into that game were like, listen, if they lose this one, I think this whole season is lost. So the jury is still out on what the Cardinals can be this season, but they kind of, by getting another win, getting closer to, Hopkins' return and things like that, kind of saved themselves. So we're hanging on to still a little bit more hope. JJ Watt, after that game, though, it was really hard to see him as emotional as he was. I think anytime we see a grown man cry, but also just the situation surrounding it, as he tied in his situation with his, seeing his baby on an ultrasound and just tying that whole thing in together. Feel for the guy. He was mostly missing from practice this week, but he did practice today. So it was great to see him back out there.
Yeah, glad to see JJ Watt back on the field. As always, that press conference was definitely tough to watch. You never want to see someone trying to struggle with you would never want to see someone struggling with their health in that way. It was very emotional, but I'm happy that he's back out on the field. Hopefully everything is good. I don't necessarily trust the NFL or the personnel when it comes to making health decisions after what happened with Tua a couple weeks ago. So I'm just praying that everything's good with JJ.
I think they learned their lesson, because Brian Hoyer yesterday, as soon as he went out of the game for a potential head injury, he was done for the rest of it. So I think they're going to try and course correct after that one. But
let's hope.
Yeah, we can only hope. Another thing that happened this week, I think it was sort of a long time coming. I hate to say it, because I was always rooting for Andy Isabella to pan out, but the team finally waived him. He was the last of 3 receivers drafted in that 2019 draft class to not work. So the thing with Andy is, not only did he not work out, but he was the guy that was taken 2 picks before DK Metcalf. And so that sort of put some extra pressure and some extra hate from fans. I don't know. The closest thing I could compare it to is like the DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic thing, where it's like you're always going to be compared to that other guy that the Cardinals could have gotten, or that a team here in Arizona could have gotten. So there was that lingering, and I think they probably held on to him for a little bit longer than they necessarily needed to. But he's gone, picked up, and signed to the Ravens practice squad, and neither or none of those 3 receivers in that 19 draft class panned out. So Steve Keim, looking at you. It's hard for me. Like I didn't have a lot of emotional stock in Andy Isabella. Like whether or not he really panned out for this team didn't really matter to me. He obviously had that one incredible play where he received the ball and ran it in for a touchdown a few years ago. But I wasn't really that emotionally connected to Andy Isabella. Obviously, I hope he can find his way and get a shot somewhere else. But the fact that he was a part of that 2019 draft class that none of the receivers taken in ever worked out really, to me, just points to the glaring neon sign, warning sign that is Steve Keim's draft choices. I have had some conflicting feelings about Steve Keim as GM for a while, but Andy Isabella getting cut is kind of just like another reminder that I don't really necessarily think the person making the choices at the GM position for the Cardinals is all that great. I'm just disappointed. Like, it's just frustrating. And to also be put in the same category as DK Metcalf, like, are you kidding me? What are we doing here? So it's just frustrating. I think one of the reasons why I was rooting for Andy so much is just because he's a good guy and a really, really, really hard worker. So apparently on his way out, he told Cliff, go prove him wrong. So even in that situation, he was, telling his head coach, like, hey, coach, like, go, like, he's just like a good kid. And so you just like want to root for those guys. But the other 2 that were drafted in that class, Keyshawn Johnson, who was waived by the Falcons in August. So right now he's not even with the team. And then Hakeem Butler, who's playing in the CFL. So like you've got Andy, who's on a practice squad, and then the other 2 guys are completely out of the league entirely. Right, like as we speak. They might get other chances down the road, but it's just not good. So you get rid of Andy Isabella, and then you think you're going to get Antoine Wesley back this week. Unfortunately, he was on IR this entire season for a hip and groin injury. Came back to practice this week and suffered another injury. He's getting an MRI. So last I saw, they're waiting for results on that, but he could miss the entire season. So there you are with just another setback at that position, as well as you wait for DeAndre Hopkins to return. Rondale Moore's been dealing with injuries as well. It's just like they can't seem to get it right with that position group, which heading into the season should have been one of their most solid position groups.
Yeah, the wide receiver room is a struggle bus. We obviously knew going into the season that we were going to be missing the most important piece of that room, which is DeAndre Hopkins. But unfortunately, the injury bug seems to have plagued that wide receiver room. And oh my gosh, what a horrible time for this to happen to the Cardinals when they really, really didn't have any room for any wide receiver to go down until we got D-Hop back. So, oh man, you hate to see it. I don't really know. I think the Cardinals need to be aggressive before the trade deadline, and I think they need to add some more pieces into that room, especially if Antoine Wesley goes down for the rest of the season. Like, they have to address this. They have to get more help in terms of wide receivers. So I hope that that's something that they are considering and looking at seriously, because I know that there's only a few games left until D-Hop comes back, but good Lord, like, we can't just hinge our entire hope of the season on D-Hop's shoulders. Like, we have to make sure that we are doing that. Well, not we, but the Cardinals have to make sure they're doing everything they can to solidify this offense and to give Kyler weapons to throw the ball to. That way, at the bare minimum, there aren't any excuses on the table of why the offense isn't performing. Kyler Murray has all the weapons that he needs to be productive, and I just think that they need to really focus on getting this wide receiver thing fixed out.
Well, thankfully, they do have Zach Ertz out there as well as a pass catcher, and this is a big, big weekend for him. He's going to play his former team. Spent 8.5 seasons with the Eagles. Obviously, it'll be a reunion, and he was asked about that midweek as well. Here's what he had to say.
I don't think the emotion has hit me. It's been a lot of just viewing them for the next opponent. I got a lot of good relationships still back there. Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Fletch, BG. We played a lot of football together, 8+ years together. So when you're with people that long, it becomes more than just a football thing. It becomes more of a relationship, care about them and their family. So from that perspective, it's going to be good to see those guys. But on the field, it's going to be me versus their defense. It's not going to be Zach versus the Eagles. And we just got to go out there and play a really good football game.
Fun fact, if he gets a catch on Sunday, he will have caught a pass against every team in the NFL.
That's a cool tidbit.
But yeah, so this is obviously a reunion, long time coming for Zach Ertz. So that's obviously going to be a storyline. Spotlight's going to be on him a little bit in terms of a fan perspective to see what he's able to do. The Cardinals have never lost to an NFC East team during the Cliff Kingsbury era. They're 6-0 with an opportunity to go 7-0 against a team that is 4-0 to start the season. So the odds are definitely not in their favor. They're 5-point dogs in this matchup. Although I have seen a lot of talk. Now, this is like national media talk of thinking that maybe the Eagles are not as strong of a team as their record might suggest. But this is going to be a big test for them. We all know that the Cardinals do not play well at home. So I am hoping that they're going to be able to defy odds and get a stinging win on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cardinals are just not. I don't have a lot of faith in this game. I think they're still the only team in the NFL to not have scored any points in the first quarter. So it's not looking great. Hopefully Zach Ertz can turn on some superhuman powers and
I would love that. I would love a big game from Zach Ertz.
Yeah, beast his former team, but I'm a little worried for the Cardinals in this matchup. But I think once we get past this game, hopefully we can get past this game with no other issues. The schedule looks a little bit brighter, so it's going to be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah, I think this will be another big litmus test to again, for actually both the Eagles and the Cardinals to kind of see, like I said at the beginning, I feel like the jury's still kind of out on what this Cardinals team can be. I know a lot of people are really disappointed in Cliff Kingsbury this season and are putting a lot of blame on his shoulders, specifically for those slow starts, which it's worth noting that the Eagles have outscored their opponents 48-14 in the first half of games this year. And we all know yeah, the Cardinals have stunk it up in the first half. So you mentioned no points scored in the first quarter. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a litmus test for both teams. I would love to see the Cardinals step up, finally turn that page where we can feel a little bit better about them, a little more certain of where the season is heading. But of course, the Eagles are going to want to keep their perfect record intact. I got a notification this morning if you guys are still wanting to go out to that game out at State Farm Stadium. Tickets have dropped in price. The notification on the Game Time app was 17% drop for ticket prices for a 125 kick on Sunday. So that was, again, a notification from the Game Time app, which is how we here at PHNX get all of our tickets to sporting events, to concerts. I mentioned this. I got my parking pass to the last home game against the Rams, like a last second thing, got a last second invite and was like, wait, what do I do about parking? Let me check the Game Time app. I was able to buy it within a matter of probably 60 seconds. Pulled over at a gas station, bought it, and then continued driving to the game. So the Game Time app is where it's at, up to 60% off on tickets when you buy them last minute. So it's great for all the procrastinators out there. But really, it's just the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score deals. Again, concerts, shows, sporting events, parking passes. If you love PHNX, you're going to love the Game Time app. It is the best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. So I made the mistake of just downloading the app without using our own link. That is my bad. So if you do download the Game Time app, be sure to do it through the link in the description. All right, so the Cardinals, not the only team in action. By the way, today felt like a great day when walking into the office. You had playoff baseball, regular season hockey going on, and we were talking about the Suns and the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. Obviously, we're going to get to their season just wrapped up, so it just feels like a really fun time in sports right now. But the Suns, they beat the Lakers after falling to a team they should have never fallen to in a way they should have never come out playing. But I hope that first preseason game, they just got everything out of the way. They did beat the Lakers. Still preseason, doesn't really mean much. And something came out of it that might mean absolutely nothing, but it was great to see this video that the Suns tweeted out with Deandre Ayton and Devin Booker, all smiles, hanging out with this young fan who was in tears that he got to meet some of his heroes. And, again, probably really means nothing, but it was a big thing for me. I don't know about you, Makayla, to see Deandre Ayton smiling on the bench.
Yeah, it's great to see DA happy, especially after the shitstorm we just went through with media availability during media day and training camp, and just really understanding the depths of maybe how unhappy DA had been with this front office, with the team in the offseason and even maybe before then. So just to see DA back to his happy, smiley self was definitely a relief for me. I was starting to get concerned about how DA felt and if maybe this would bleed into the locker room and just kind of be a dark cloud over the whole team, the whole season. So just to see DA back with Book and the team and being happy just was the biggest relief, because I was so concerned after media day and just the statements that DA made about not speaking with Monty, not really looking excited or happy to be here. So it's a weight has been lifted off my shoulders seeing him smiling again.
And honestly, a weight's probably been lifted off his. He's probably carrying that around all off season, just coming up with stuff in his head and letting it marinate. And I think probably, again, I'm not going to speak for him, but if I were in his shoes, just getting back to the facility and getting back to playing the game that I love and being around my teammates again and remembering, oh, this is why I play the game, and remembering, oh yeah, I did actually sign that new contract too. So I've got that going on. And then being coached by Monty as well. And, he made a comment this week that they didn't really need to have a conversation because there wasn't really anything to talk about.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like that. I think there's a lot to talk about. And I think that kind of tone that Monty took and the response he had dismisses how important it is to make sure that his team is on the same page and everyone is feeling good and happy. And like, I just don't think after watching their interaction on the bench during Game 7 last year, and then literally seeing and hearing how upset DA was during media day, I just don't see how there can't be a conversation had, or like, I just feel like it was like glazing over the issue. Like, to me, this is a big deal. And I think it's in Monty's hands, and it's Monty's responsibility as the head coach of this team to get on the same page as his players and to address issues and to talk things out and to work things out. We see what happens when problems boil over and tempers rise, Draymond Green. So it's really important.
I think that's more of a character flaw in Draymond Green himself. But
right.
Yes.
But yeah, so I wish Monty wouldn't have said that, because I think it's not doing service to how important it is for him and DA to be on the same page.
Well, we do have the clip. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say.
I coach Deandre every day in practice, and I've already said this. I'm not going to keep talking about every time I sit down and talk with somebody. I'm not going to address it or make a statement about it. I coach him hard every day in practice. You see he's here getting his work in. Like, that's what we expect of our guys. And talking about whether or not I talk to a guy, I think is kind of senseless.
Well, sit down, just air some things out.
We don't need to air anything out. That's my point. I'm not going to keep addressing that. It's like he's the player, I'm the coach, just like with Book and Chris and Makayla. DA gets his work in every day. He's at 22 and 12 in 20 minutes. Like, those are the kinds of things that we expect from him. I don't need to sit down and talk to him about it.
I hate that.
Why do I kind of like it?
No, I don't like it.
Shoot, I kind of
I'm with you,
like
Chierstin.
it. Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that, John?
I just feel like people are being a little dramatic. Like, they're grown-ass men. I don't think everybody, like, they don't necessarily need to have a conversation. Like, at the end of the day, it's work, right? Like, if no one's there except for them, we don't know if it's really, like, a toxic work environment. Like, people have conflict and stuff sometimes, but they had a summer to get over it. They're back. Like, DA got his money. I feel like even if they did address it, like, I'm of the mindset where, like, this is none of y'all's business. So I'm going to say we didn't even have a conversation, even if we did. Like, this is not – because if we did have a conversation, now the media is going to be like, oh, what is this conversation about? Like, why do they not seem like they're on good terms if they had a – like, I don't know. It's not really, like, buzz off. It's our thing, not y'all.
I disagree. That's what you sign up for when you're an athlete and you're in front of the media every single day. Like, obviously, DA is unhappy. He made it very clear during media day, like with his tone and the way he answered questions. And so you open yourself up to speculation when you're in that position and when you are in the light for your job. And I just don't think that it's fair for us to be, I guess, kept in the dark when this is like I think it's an issue. Like, it's an issue. You don't want to see the Suns having culture problems within the organization. And so now we only get one side of the story now, because now we only know that DA is unhappy. And now we're just left to run with the narratives of DA is unhappy. He hasn't spoken to Monty. Monty hasn't spoken to him. Monty doesn't think he needs to like air anything out. And so now we're just going to speculate on the little information that we have. Like, I would rather know what's going on and know that they had a conversation and know that everything's on the right on the same page. That way I can have confidence in this team moving forward throughout the season that everything's fine.
Yeah, I feel you, but like at the same time, like, I don't think they owe us that. Like, it'd be one thing if like I think franchises owe us a certain thing to like be honest when it comes to like how the franchise is being run. And it's not like Monty's being disrespectful to the media, but like I don't think they necessarily owe us what's going on in the locker room. Like, at the end of the day, they're people. Like, I am not of the mindset that players and coaches owe us anything other than like respect, but I don't think they owe us the information of what's happening inside the locker room.
I mean, what if like Monty just came up to him and said like, you know, like, yo, we good or something like that? Or like, I don't know. Sometimes you can just like behave a certain way and just like, you just know like, okay, we're good. And we're going to turn a page. It's in the past. I would say that if Deandre looked visibly, so the way that he looked in practice after that seemed to give us a little more confidence that like he's not being like bogged down by it. I would say if we saw it in practice and we saw it carry into games and things like that, then it would be cause for concern. But if it was just like the first 2 days of him being back, he aired some stuff out and got back to, how things were last season before that falling out, and just, like things are good, then maybe we can all just move on as well. I think best case scenario, though, is we did hear from Monty and he said, listen, we talked it through. We're all good. Not going to talk about it anymore. Like, our focus is on basketball. Like, obviously that would be best case scenario. No doubt. I am totally with you on that, Makayla. But I feel like a little bit better that it didn't seem like it's affected him in any way in practice or in these 2 preseason games. So hopefully that's the case. And we can just all move on. There was one thing that came out of that Laker game that is a little unfortunate. It looks like both Cam Payne and Cam Johnson are going to be out for the rest of the preseason. So they just have 2 more games next week, beginning with Denver on Monday. But they both suffered finger injuries. For Cam Johnson, that's his shooting hand. For Cam Payne, that's his non-dominant hand. So I guess good in that regard. And again, they're just like sprains, but I just hope specifically for Cam Johnson's sake, and we're going to get to it later on in the show, but he's, he has this kind of starting spot this year. And so I would hate for there to be like this lingering throughout the entire season, because there's no let up, right? Like, now you're entering the regular season and it's the very beginning of the regular season. And now you've got potentially a finger that's going to be bugging you on your shooting hand throughout the season. In and of itself, it could be nothing, but I hope that this is not something that we're talking about throughout this season.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to see these injuries continue for sure.
And then one fun little thing that came out of that game that went viral is who doesn't love a dog dunking the ball?
For those of you listening to this on audio format, the little chihuahua that had the ball at the halftime show for the Lakers and the Suns preseason game. It was so cute, the little guy. I hate chihuahuas. I hate those.
I'm with you 100% on
I
that.
hate
Little
ankle biter dogs.
Yeah,
Like,
little
if
ankle
your dog
biters.
is small and can bite my ankles, I hate it. I'm sorry, but
And also, if you want a small dog, get a wiener dog. Like, get something that's at least a little
or
cool,
get a
not
corgi
annoying.
or like a bulldog or a French bulldog.
Facts.
Like, I don't want to, like, if I can drop kick your dog over a fence, it's not a dog.
bottom tier dog. They're just big rats.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. If my cat's bigger than your dog, it's not a dog. And
Facts.
Cleo is like 4 times that size.
I don't under this kind of reminds me of like this, like, boneless wings aren't chicken wings. It's like, who cares? Who cares whether a chihuahua is even a dog or not? It's still
They're evil creatures.
It has feelings.
But they're not even cute.
They're not
like, you're not
cute.
gonna keep a skunk as a nah, skunks are cuter, actually.
Yeah, skunks
Some
are
people
cuter.
de-skunk skunks and have them as pets.
Okay,
They're
well,
like
you
little
shouldn't be
ankle
deskunking a skunk.
biters.
That's rude, but
Sorry if you're listening to this and you have an ankle biter dog, but I mean, let's reevaluate.
Yeah.
Get a big dog.
Blake has the ultimate question. Can we get Newman dunking basketballs? Because that would be cute.
That would be incredible. I'll see what I can do. He is trained to do some tricks, so maybe I'll have to add that to his repertoire. All right. Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about how comfy these chairs are that we love to sit in every week, or how your furniture shopping is going, Makayla.
It is slow and steady. I've just begun the furniture shopping process. I did find a couch that I am in love with, and I'm so excited to get it. I have already decided that I'm buying it. I already picked out the upholstery. Like, I am obsessed with it, and it comes from our friends at More Furniture. So I'm really excited to continue that process. I have my couch locked down, which is what I was like the most nervous about for some reason. So now that I've got my couch, I'm going to move on to the coffee table, the bed frame, the end tables, all that good stuff. But More Furniture has the most beautiful furniture, and I'm so stoked to have a fully new furnished apartment at the end of this month. It's getting closer, so
are you
very
taking
excited about
advantage
that.
of their fall sale?
I sure am. Oh my God, you better believe I am. Their fall sale going on right now is incredible. You guys, if you're looking for furniture and you need a discount, you have to go shop the More Furniture fall sale. I have saved so much money. The couch that I was looking at was half off. It is half off, you guys. So I'm really excited about that. And if you do shop their fall sale, you'll receive a $100 gift card for every $1,000 you spend. So now is the time to go get your furniture from morefurniture.com.
Nice.
Yeah, girl.
Awesome. All right. Fall sale still going on while the fall season is over for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Who ended things this week, and it was a little bitter. I mean, it's always bittersweet when a season ends, right?
I know. Baseball's my favorite, so I'm sad that it's nearing the end. Obviously, the regular season's over and playoffs started today, but always sad to see baseball go. I never want to watch it leave. Hate to watch you go, but I love to watch you leave. Just kidding.
It was a tough season at times, but did you feel like they exceeded or fell short of expectations?
Well, they personally, for me, exceeded my expectations. I had them winning like 62 games this year. So the fact that they finished 74-88 and fourth place in the National League West definitely exceeded my expectations. They won 22 more games this year than they had last year. So they definitely got better, which I was really happy about. I really didn't have, to be honest, any expectations for them this season because I didn't know what we were going to get when it came to this team. I think more than anything, watching their young guys come up through the system, they had so many major league debuts, which was cool to watch. And just to get to see their young guys get a chance to prove themselves and show us what they're made of was my favorite part of the season. I think that is a win, and I will take that any day of the week because I think it's the farm system that the Diamondbacks and Mike Hazen has cultivated that is going to make this team a championship team. So the sooner we start that process of getting these guys some major league service time, the better, because I don't think I know the Diamondbacks aren't going to be big spenders in free agency or anything like that because they just don't have the payroll and the money to do it like the Dodgers or the Yankees do. So they're going to have to play some money ball, and it's going to have to be done well and concise and smartly. And so the process that they started this season of getting their young guys some service time was super exciting for me because it just brings us that much closer to 2024, 2025, which is when I think the Diamondbacks are going to be a real contender in baseball. So
yeah, for me, they exceeded my expectations. Like, never mind their record, I would just say that I wasn't necessarily excited to watch this team just for the product that they were going to put out there. Never mind wins and losses, but they were a really, really, really exciting team with, like you mentioned, getting to see those young guys come up and get opportunities and just kind of provide a spark for this team and give us a little bit of hope for where this team is heading as well. So they definitely exceeded my expectations. One thing we all know they're going to have to address in the offseason is the stinking bullpen, who tied the franchise record for most losses and was one shy of the league record. But Jacob pointed this out today that apparently I think they set a new record for losses over like a league record for losses over the course of the last two seasons, or so like in a 2-year span. So regardless, though, they stink. And, that was another reason why I felt like this team was so exciting to watch, is because they put themselves into positions to win, until their bullpen came along.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks lost 42 games this year in which they were either tied or ahead at the start of the 6th inning. They just had to make it 3 more innings and they would have won 42 more games. So obviously the bullpen is a travesty. It is atrocious. There aren't enough words in the dictionary that I could possibly use to describe how horrendous this entire bullpen was this whole year. My God, it was painful watching them. Anytime a bullpen pitcher came in, I literally just turned the TV off because I knew how that was going to go. So I know that they will, but dear God, I don't know. Mike Hazen's going to have to get crafty when it comes to restructuring this bullpen because as a fan of another team in the National League West, I see what happens when you just throw money at a bullpen and pray. And spending $110 million on a bullpen does not fix the problem. So I think it's really difficult because the bullpen is the hardest part of baseball to really plan and structure for. And you can't just throw money at it. Like, it doesn't work to just I spend a bunch of money on bullpen relievers. So however they fix this problem, it's going to have to be done well because you can't just throw money at a bullpen and hope it works out. Like, they have to be very strategic about how they're going to fix this bullpen because good Lord, it's bad. Ugh.
Yes, but at least the season is over and we can move forward with that. And, unfortunately, the Diamondbacks are not in the postseason, but postseason baseball has just like a special place in my heart. So regardless of whether the team I'm rooting for is in it or not, it's always a good time. We've got the hockey season starting up, like I mentioned. We've got the NBA season starting up. And so it's a good time. Actually, it's a great time to download the Underdog Fantasy app. It is the easiest and most fun way to spice up not only, I didn't even mention this, obviously football season, but hockey, postseason baseball, NBA. That is Underdog Fantasy and their pickup game. So just look for your favorite or least favorite players in any sport. Their stats pick between 2 and 5 players for your pick'em entry and whether you think they're going to end up with a higher or lower total than the stat in this week's game. So get all your picks right and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Was it Derek that recently won pretty big?
Yeah, Derek won $1,000. I know someone else, I think Max and Shane each won $100. So our office is just going crazy on the Underdog Fantasy app. They are just raking in cash left and right.
Sean, have you won anything?
We're not going to talk about that. I've won a few bucks actually. I have more money in the account than I deposited, so that's a win in my book.
There you go. You're in the green. That's all that matters.
So you can search in the App Store or click the link in our show notes to sign up with the promo code PHNX. Anytime you sign up with any of our sponsors here at PHNX, use that PHNX code. That's always going to be the code. And Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy using that promo code PHNX and get in on the action today. All right, what do we have next, Mac?
It's time we go down in the DMs, baby.
Down in the DMs.
Yeah, it is time for Down in the DMs, and we are going to be answering your burning Arizona sports questions. Thank you to everyone who sent in a question on Twitter, who respectfully slid into our DMs with respectful questions. If we're one of those people who weren't respectful, we're not answering your questions, and we're ignoring you completely, or you're probably muted now. So thank you to everyone who sent in your questions. We've got a lot to get to. So Sean, hit us with our first question.
All right. Essentially the question here is does the NFL have a QB problem with all of the legends, Drew Brees, Rivers, Big Ben, Gisele Bündchen, aka Tom Brady, being old, retired, or washed?
Well, and they also asked this because many of the NFL games, including the primetime games, like last night, have been low scoring.
With
Snooze
an old
fest.
washed QB.
Listen, I don't want to hate. Watch your mouth. I don't want to talk about last night's game.
You know what?
I'm not ready to hate on Russell Wilson yet.
Did you see the last play of that game? There's no one's fault other than Russell Wilson's. His interceptions, that Russell Wilson.
He made a mistake, but I don't think he's put in a position to win night in and night out either.
We're not arguing about Russell Wilson.
What are we doing here?
Shush, Sean.
Hack it.
That was not his fault.
Okay, last night was a mess. It was bad. I am willing to admit that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I will get visibly angry and probably walk off this set. But yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of low scoring primetime games this season, and it happened quite a few times last season too. And it's a bummer to watch that happen. I mean, obviously the whole nation is watching that game, and to have nothing but field goals the entire time. Not a single touchdown was thrown, not one last night. It's just a bummer. And also when you take into consideration that on average, Amazon Prime is paying $78 million per game that they broadcast, that was a waste of $78 million. So
but it's not a quarterback problem. Like, there's not a quarterback problem in the league. Like, you've got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
Patrick Mahomes,
you still have Aaron Rodgers. You could say
Hurts.
Tom Brady's washed up, but he's still Tom Brady. Even Stafford, who's also, like, I don't know, did he come out and say this is going to be his last season? Because it probably is. Kyler's still a great quarterback. Definitely should be. You've got Kyler, Justin Herbert. I mean, we don't have a quarterback problem. If anything, I don't know, maybe we have a coaching problem. But I wouldn't blame like these. Well, it was Tom Brady who came out and said that he's been watching a lot of really bad football. I don't think he came out and said watching a lot of really bad quarterbacks. I just think in general
Which
it's
is also
bad
ironic
football,
because
which begins
it
with your head coaches. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there is a quarterback problem. I think I've never been more excited about the quarterbacks in the league than I am now. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, as much as that literally kills me on the inside to say, Justin Herbert. There's so many that I can name that I am genuinely.
I left out Patrick Mahomes. Like,
I'm so excited to watch them play football. Like, I've never been more excited about the future of the quarterbacks in the league than I am now. I think on top of there being a coaching problem, I think we're seeing like a new NFL, right? Like, this isn't like your old NFL where you are rumble tumble rough, you're running the ball every play, like you're relying on your running backs and your fullbacks to like get this thing moving. Like, this is a new NFL, and like we're seeing new schemes, we're seeing an emphasis on like air raids and new types of offenses and things like that. So I think maybe like we're just in a transitional period right now where we're just seeing a new type of football take place and like take its like and grab onto the league and like take root. But I think, definitely there's a coaching problem. So like, I'm really excited about the quarterbacks in the NFL. I guess I might be alone in that. I could be alone in that, but I don't think it's a quarterback problem. I think there's a lot of different things that are factoring into these like low scoring games.
Yeah. Admittedly, I drool over Patrick Mahomes watching him play football. It is so fun to watch.
Fair.
I mean, like, seriously.
He's the most talented quarterback of all time.
It's tremendous. I love watching him. We've got a little bit of breaking news. The Cardinals just released tight end Max Williams, which is really sad because I was rooting for that guy. Remember, he was injured last year and was watching every single game, cheering them on from home, and just never got back on the field for them. So
make room for Trey McBride, baby. See ya. Bye, Max Garcia. See you never. Trey McBride season's here, guys. Let's go.
Real quick on the NFL thing, though. Also, it's not like it's just like the games that have been on prime time. Like, it's not like we thought the Broncos were going to be better, and they've been on prime time multiple times.
Right.
But like, they haven't all been low scoring. Like, the Bills scored 30-some points in opening day. There's the
Eagles.
Of course, that's what he goes to first.
That was the first game of the season. And then also you look at like the Lions-Eagles game, I think it was. That was like 38-34. Like, there's high scoring games in the NFL. Just haven't been the games in the prime time.
I honestly think the NFL needs to make it so that their flex game rule starts way sooner than what week 10 or week 11 is when they can start flexing games. Like, the NFL should just be able to flex games like the whole season, because pretty quickly into the season if a team is going to be good or bad. Yes. And if we're forced to sit on our couches and watch the Colts and the Broncos do nothing but score field goals for the entire game, I would much rather the NFL flex that game and put something way more interesting on the television. So
you could have put literally
anything. Literally any game besides that one would have been more interesting.
Honestly, it gave me a little more freedom to do what I wanted to do on my Thursday night. Well, not wanted to do, but I had stuff to get done, and I didn't feel like obligated to watch that game whatsoever because it was trash football.
Well, Thursday night football is stupid in general. I hate Thursday night football. It's the dumbest thing that's ever been invented. So we could just get rid of Thursday night football.
Sean, you're acting like that's this like hot take. Nobody likes Thursday night football.
Nobody likes Thursday night football.
I like Thursday night football. I want there to be football.
Weird.
I want there to be football every night of the week. Right, I just like there being football.
That's weird.
The games are terrible.
But I think if the NFL allowed itself to flex games way earlier in the season, we would avoid a lot of this issues. So maybe that's something they'll look into after that dumpster fire of a game yesterday.
Hey, it's going to get better next week with the Bears on Thursday night football.
The Bears and the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
I would rather watch paint dry.
I'd rather watch what I watched last night.
All right, what's the next question?
From Chris, can we keep talking about BG? Keep her name in the conversation until she is home safe.
Yes, we absolutely can and will. We can and will. Well, it's really unfortunate to hear what her wife Sherelle had to say this week. Griner's date was set for her appeal, which is October 25th. But in talking with Brittney, she said that Brittney's at her absolute weakest ahead of this appeal, and that it was, quote, the most disturbing phone call she'd ever experienced, that being Sherelle speaking with Brittney. And, she's been there in prison in Russia for almost 8 months now. And I don't know. You feel hopeless in this situation, but I was a little bit encouraged that the appeal came so quickly, just knowing that they can basically do whatever they want to do over there. So October 25th, we're going to hear this appeal, and maybe in a couple of weeks, we're going to hear some better news about her situation. But it's heartbreaking, especially when you feel so hopeless.
Yeah, reading the article was really tough. If you haven't read the article, I really recommend that you do, because this is an important issue and it's important to keep talking about her until she's home. But her wife said basically that BG was broken, and she was concerned that America was going to forget about her and just leave her there. And it breaks my heart to think about that. And I just wish more progress was being made to get her home. But I'd never want to see a human being in that type of state. I never want to hear about someone feeling that way. It's horrible and it's heartbreaking. So I'm heartbroken for BG. I'm heartbroken for her family. And, I'm sure the appeals process is going to go how it's going to go because it's a fresh in court. But I just hope that Joe Biden and the American government are doing everything in their power to make sure she comes home, because she should be home. She should be home already. So it's just sad.
I said she was in prison. I think like detained is probably the better term to use there. But yeah, thank you, Chris, for asking that question or making that comment. And we will continue to speak about the situation until she comes home. All right, what do we have next?
From Daniel, as Shane freaks out over playoff baseball in the background. Losing McGee and inevitably Crowder, will the Suns be a top 4 team in the West?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think McGee or Crowder, as horrible as this is going to sound, I don't think they were a big piece of this team. Like, obviously, they were depth players who provided, they served their function well, but I don't think they were major losses enough to not consider this team a top 4 team in the West. I think we're looking at the Clippers, the Warriors, the Suns, and the Nuggets as the best teams in the West this year. And I absolutely believe that the Suns will be among the top 4 in the West. And I don't think losing Crowder or McGee really, it sucks. Like, obviously, like, they're great players, they're great people. Like, I loved having them on the team, but they weren't big enough losses to take away from the fact that the Suns are still at their core a very talented team, and most of their pieces remain intact from last season. So I expect the Suns to be in the top 4 this year.
I actually think, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I actually think that Crowder is a bigger loss than McGee. So, yeah. You have Bismack stepping up in the rotation. So you've got Ayton, Saric, Bismack, Biyombo, and I think you're fine there. There's not much of a drop off between JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo. So, there I think they're fine. A little bit of a drop off, but that's not a make or break situation with that. I think when you compare a guy like Jay Crowder to a guy like Cam Johnson, they're two different like personalities entirely. I've said this story multiple times, but I'll say it again. I know that Chris Paul and Devin Booker felt that the type of player, the type of enforcer kind of player, that was going to set a certain tone, especially when it comes to playoffs, that they were missing that kind of personality at the time 2 seasons ago, and specifically gave Jay Crowder a call. And so, Cam Johnson is a nice guy, and his game is a little bit different, and his personality is definitely different. And so, Jay Crowder's coming towards the end of his career. Cam Johnson is blooming into the player that he can be, still a young guy. So just night and day difference. But I think that Cam Johnson's ceiling is really high, and I'll be really excited to see what he makes of the opportunity to become a starter this season. But the jury's still out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that making that change is exactly kind of what this team needed, but missing those 2 players is not going to count them out of being a top 4 team in the West.
I agree.
For sure.
So you're both saying yes?
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say, Mac, you left out the Memphis Grizzlies in your top 4, which is they were good last year. So, but I am with you. The West is hard this year.
Yeah.
Clippers are better.
The Eastern Conference of the NBA is a joke.
Yeah, right now it kind of is. The Clippers are back. The Nuggets are back. It'll be fun.
The Suns are a great team. Don't forget who their stars are, and then don't forget who their head coach is. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm fine with my top 4 picks. I
Yeah,
know people are going
I
to
don't hate
disagree,
it.
but I'm sticking by those top 4.
I think they'll also make some moves mid-season as well.
I don't think they'll win the West again, but I think they'll be top 4.
Yeah.
And I brought up the Grizzlies, but I'm not saying I think the Grizzlies are going to slide back a little bit. They're really young, and I think
the
overachieved a
only
little
team
bit.
that could possibly maybe edge in there is the Mavs.
Interesting. Yeah, fair enough.
Where JaVale McGee now plays.
Yeah, I agree with you also, Chierstin, that the loss of Crowder is bigger than the loss of McGee. But while we're on the topic of the Suns, we have another question from John Montoya. Over under on how many wins the Suns will have this year, and also when are we playing pickleball? So first, the Suns question. If you had to guess, how many wins do you think the Suns will have this year?
Well, I know that there's already lines out there, especially on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. But if I was going to pick, I don't think that they necessarily repeat their performance of last year with 64 wins, right?
Correct.
64 regular season wins. I think they maybe just like backslide a little bit. So if I was going to set it, I would set it at 52.5. I think that's a really safe, good number that I feel comfortable at. Now, take it as what it's worth, because I set the over-under for Diamondbacks at 62, and they way smashed that over. But if I was going to pick an over-under, I would pick 52.5. I feel comfortable with that. I think, like I mentioned before, like the core of the Suns is still intact. They still have their head coach. The consistency is still there. I wish they maybe would have done a little bit more in the offseason, but we are where we're at with this now. And I think, you know, the Robert Sarver stuff, the rocky off season, the Jay Crowder drama, the DA stuff, like it's all a little bit not great to put it in a way, but I think that all contributes and factors into the decision to set it at 52.5. So that's mine.
I think they have the leaders, so like good enough leaders to where all of this offseason drama is not going to continue into the regular season. The over-under on the DraftKings Sportsbook app is actually set at 52.5.
Oh, I did not know that.
So
DraftKings, you want to hire me?
plus 105 for the over and minus 125 for the under. We do have some peeps in the chat. Jay saying over 54, AZ King 480, I'll say 46, Charles Woodall Pike at 52, Daniel at 54, PHX Scotty at 52. So all around, 46 is a little low.
Yeah, I think that's a little low for sure.
But in the 50s, I would say that's a really, really successful regular season still. And yeah, I mean, I think 52.5 is like the perfect place to put that line at. So yeah.
Shout out to me for guessing what it is on the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
So for the record, they are, I guess, tied with the Clippers. The DraftKings Sportsbook also has the Clippers over under set at 52.5, but the Clippers have better odds to go over 52.
Okay.
They're minus 120. The Suns are plus 105 at 52.5. But if you're putting money on it, are you going over or under on the 52.5?
Shoot.
Oof.
Crud.
I'll go over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go over. I'll say that I have a little bit more confidence in this team to deliver more than 52.5 wins.
Personally, I'm going to say less, because I think when you have as many as they did last year, it's pretty natural for them to slide back a little bit.
Yeah.
They lost a couple pieces, and the West is stronger. But I think it'll be close.
Does this factor in the fact that we might get Kevin Durant in?
Oh, relax.
Oh,
that'll
geez.
change.
No.
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm just putting it out there.
But I would take I lean a little biased with the Suns. I drink the local Kool-Aid, so I would take the over on that. But if you guys want to get in on the action, now's your chance to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. With the NBA season just getting going, you can also, obviously, as you've been doing all season long, put your money down on any NFL team to win. If you bet $5 on a team to win, you're going to get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's not enough, everyone can boost their winnings with the DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. So right now, for every leg you add, you can boost your winnings up to 100% with bigger payouts. Obviously, why would you bet on football anywhere else? To make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game all season long, which I just mentioned. It is simple. Download that DraftKings Sportsbook app using that promo code PHNX. It's the simplest code, PHNX. When you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, Going to get some free bets and some awesome deals. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions do apply. See show notes for details. Okay, let's get back to your questions. Sean, what do we have next?
We have another one related to the Suns, but Josh Perlman asked, do the Suns get more wins this season than the Coyotes manage points?
That's a great question, Josh.
Question.
So the Coyotes finished with 57 points last year. We already mentioned that the Suns won 64 games last year. I think both teams are probably going to take a step back in both points on the season for the Coyotes and wins on the season for the Suns.
Keep in mind the Coyotes have the worst goaltending tandem in the league.
That's probably true. Yeah, DraftKings has Coyotes point total at 65.5.
65.5.
Plus 100 to go over, minus 130 to go under.
Lordy. Well, that would be an improvement then, which is interesting that they have that.
Yeah, it's interesting that they think that they're going to do better than they did last season.
It's still the worst odds, I believe. It's still the worst odds in hockey. The worst, yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time with the Coyotes because I just don't know what playing in that new arena is going to do, if that's going to factor in. Their goaltending tandem is horrendous.
Maybe that's why they
under on their point total, because don't forget they have to play like their first 20 games on the road, which screwed the New York Islanders last year.
Right. But I mean, if the question is like, can you go back to the question? It's what if the Suns will win more games than the Coyotes points?
Yeah.
So DraftKings thinks that the Coyotes will score more points than the Suns will get wins.
Correct.
If we're putting money on this, which I know we're not actually, because it'd be fun if we could, I have more faith in the Suns than I have in the Coyotes. So I think the Suns win more games than the Coyotes score points. That's my personal thing. Obviously, people are going to disagree with me, but I just have so much more faith in the Suns than I do the Coyotes, unfortunately. I just don't see the Coyotes performing as better than they did last season.
I think that the Coyotes are going to score more points.
Okay.
I'm going to say that. And you know what? Honestly, once again, great question. Let's circle back at the end of these season end of these seasons.
We'll come back. We'll bookmark this. Bookmark this for later.
Thank you for your question. Do we have anything else?
You got another one?
Well, I have one for you, but we do have one more from actual person, so I'll get to that one first. Simple. Dario asks, do the Cardinals make the playoffs?
No.
Oh boy.
I'm with you. Cheers.
I would say as of now, no. I don't have any confidence in this Cardinals roster, and judging off of their performance through week 5 of the NFL, I'm not encouraged by what I've seen. The Cardinals haven't had any statement wins so far this season. They have scratched and clawed and like barely made it across the goal line to win the games that they have won. And so if there was like maybe 1 or 2 statement games under their belt where they beat the bricks off the opponents that they were facing, like I would say they've got a chance. I mean, I think it's a 2-horse race in the NFC West, right? Like the Rams and the Cardinals. Like I think the 49ers, to me, now that they are back to Jimmy G.
They just beat the Rams. No, the 49ers are legit.
I don't have any faith in Jimmy G, though.
I don't know if legit's the right word, but Jimmy G is, I mean, he got to the playoffs last year. I think it's a
3-horse race?
Kind of a 4-horse race because you don't know where you're getting with Geno Smith either.
Oh my God, no. The Seahawks are not in the playoffs.
This division's kind of a mess.
So I don't know. As of right now, I just don't think I don't think they do. I think we need to reevaluate after this week and also when they get D-Hop back. If, things make a major turnaround and D-Hop comes back and the Cardinals are like slamming wins, they're winning week to week to week to week, I think they definitely have a shot, especially because the Rams don't look like the same Rams from last season. And I have no faith in the 49ers to do anything. So I think there's a chance that they make the playoffs if we can turn things around a little bit and get some of those statement wins and look like a competent team. But as of now, I don't think they do.
So the Niners are 2-2, but technically first in the West because they beat the Rams. So I'm just saying they're still very much in it too.
I'm in on the Niners. I think the Niners win the division.
I'm not in on the Niners.
I'm in.
It's a weak division. I think they win the division.
The Niners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
They're the most talented roster. They just also have potentially the worst quarterback in the division.
But he can still
Jimmy
win
G's
games
better than
for
Geno
you.
Smith.
I mean,
get real.
I agree with you, but like Geno's games this year, like his best games, have been better than anything Jimmy's done this year. Jimmy's just the most mediocre quarterback in football. So it's tough. I do think the Niners with their roster and their defense. I just
wish the Cardinals had punched people in the mouth, and they haven't. They haven't punched anybody in the
think
mouth.
that's gonna
Nobody's punched
happen.
anybody in the mouth in this division.
Well, that's a good point. Sean, what was your question?
My question is, going back to baseball, and with Shane, the Mariners fan, and Leah, the Blue Jays fan, and I probably know your answer, Chierstin, but with the
Guardians?
Yeah, with the D-backs obviously not being a playoff team, who are you rooting for in the MLB playoffs?
I'm from Cleveland, so Guardians all the way. They won today, and I am thrilled to watch them hopefully make a run this postseason.
I really don't have very much of a rooting interest. I think if anything, maybe the Rays, because that's who David Peralta plays for now. My grandma lives in Tampa Bay, so I might be able to catch some of those games.
So it's you and me, sister.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I genuinely don't have a horse in this race. I think I'm going to pick the Blue Jays, though, overall. I love the Blue Jays. There's just something about that team that makes me so happy. And they have not had success for a while, so I love the Blue Jays. I think I would pull for the Jays. I also don't mind the Mariners. It's all just a bunch of for me. Like, I'm not feeling one way or another. I know for sure I don't want the Dodgers to win shit.
No, nobody should
same
ever
with
be
the
rooting for
Yankees.
them.
Don't want to watch the Yankees win anything.
No.
I wouldn't mind the Mets winning just because the Mets have meted for the past 15 years. So anybody but the Dodgers or the Yankees, I think I'd be happy with, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm rooting for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are currently losing 3-0 to the Mariners. So really, whoever wins this series, I think, is going to be my team that I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
And then in the NL, I'm rooting for the Braves because I love Ronald Acuna and everybody on that team.
Yeah.
But
I also forgot I don't want the Astros to win anything. So Astros, Dodgers, Yankees.
I don't want the Astros to win. They were my pick to come out of the AL, and if Verlander wins a ring, I won't be upset about it. If he wins a clean ring, I won't be upset about it. I would rather the Astros win than the Yankees or the Dodgers, to be quite honest, because I don't think they're cheating anymore. But yeah, I'm on the Blue Jays train.
There's no Jose Ramirez fans in here.
I'm anti-Cleveland, to be honest. I mentioned this to you. I'm just kind of anti-Cleveland sports. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
not a Cleveland fan.
Whatever.
Sorry, my girl.
it is what it is.
Whatever.
All right, let's get this weekend started. Before we do it, we're going to do it with OGs because OGs has just done something that is totally changing the gummy game. They launched their brand new Sleep Edition gummies, and you won't want to sleep on these. OGs is now flavoring dreams with a 2:1 THC CBN ratio gummy. CBN is a compound that helps specifically with falling and staying asleep. And the new Sleep Edition gummy is their new aquaberry flavor, which rivals my all-time favorite orange creamsicle flavor. We highly recommend you check them out at OGs online at ogsbrands.com and on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. Pick up some of these new sleep gummies, and you must be 21 years or older to purchase.
I think it's an OG's kind of weekend for me. I've been so busy lately.
I know. We've been running around the valley.
We have been doing all the things.
All
and
over.
I think I need to take an OG's and just take a nap this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be enjoying some sleepy gummies for sure. We hope you guys also have a wonderful weekend. If you haven't already, sign up to be a member at gophnx.com. You can get your first month for only 50 cents. Or if you sign up for an annual membership, you'll get a free t-shirt from the PHNX locker. There's also a ton of other reasons to be a member, including access to our members only events like the one we're doing on October 14th. We're going to be taking over Mullet Arena to watch ASU take on Colgate for the first home opener for ASU hockey. We're super excited about that. If you're a member, you also get access to our members only Discord where you can chat with all of us whenever you want. There's so many reasons to be a member, so definitely go and do that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and for everybody in the comments, we love you so much. You are our favorite part of this show, and don't forget, we will be live again next Friday at 12:30. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.